Buenas. This is the You Live Where show. My name is Diego, and I've been an expat for 10 years now, and it's been the best 10 years of my life. Along the way, I've met a lot of people who really are interested in what I do, or how I do it, or how people like us do what we do. And the only real way that I know how to give you guys any value at home is to have conversations with expats, people who own homes overseas, or people who've been on the road for a really long time. So today I'm talking to a gentleman named Sean. He's from France. He's got a lot of gems to drop us. It's going to be a great episode. So enjoy.
Hey, Sean, man, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me, man. I really appreciate you. Thank you for this. This is awesome. We're happy to have you on
Yeah,
the show.
thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. So, I guess we'll jump into it, man. When did you get the travel bug? I know we're gonna go back a little bit, but when did you get the travel
Hmm.
bug and start getting out there
Oh
and seeing
man.
some stuff?
I got the travel bug when I was like 20. And I've been consistently traveling ever since then. So for me, that's 37 years. It's been a long time. Yeah, I love traveling. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. So we ended up, I was married when I was very young to a French woman for a short period of time, and we ended up doing a lot of traveling in Europe and specifically in France, as well as Tahiti and Tunisia. Her parents were teachers with the French government, so got a lot of exposure to French-speaking cultures. Had studied French in high school and college, so that kind of like leaned me in that direction. And although we ended up traveling in the future to other countries, not just in Europe, but it was like heavy France and Italy, especially really heavy in those two countries. Fell in love with French culture, the French language, and particularly the south of France. We ended up hosting exchange students. Just one of those like crazy coincidences that comes into your life. There was some French kids that lost their host family. Somebody backed out, or I don't know what the story was. This is going back about 20 years. And we were like, last minute, we got somebody said, "Hey, do you know anybody that would take these kids?" And we were like, "Oh, we'll do it." And it was a very sudden. And so we ended up having these French boys and ended up being just really just part of our family. And it's just an incredible time with them and really, really cool. So they then became like family to us. Their family became like family for the next 15 years. We ended up going over there and visiting them, and all their friends over there became friends of ours. So we had this whole social circle develop, and this is in the south of France, by the way. So this is like Nice area, Antibes, Fréjus, just all along the Côte d'Azur. We ended up just falling into these wonderful people, mostly Italians, one French family that were either directly related to the boys or like the best friends of the parents kind of thing. And so we would just go back and stay with them over literally this is over like the next 15 years, really more like 20 years. So that's how that all developed and came into our lives.
All right, so you have deep roots in France, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where you wonder in life. It's like, fate. I don't know if I believe in fate, but certainly this makes me want to believe in it because everything just like random things just kept happening to reinforce this like sort of connection with France and French people and French culture and culminating in eventually moving to France.
Okay. So when you finally did move to France, you were pretty prepared for it. There was no real mental prep. You knew what was up. You had these roots. You were going that way.
I can say that. I cannot say that for my wife and daughter because it's very different. We were all familiar with the area, so we had that comfortability. We knew some people there. I think a lot more than most people who make that journey would know. So that's good. But I don't think anybody, regardless of how much you've traveled in a country, is ever truly prepared for the actual act of moving to the country because there's so much you find out once you get there. And I know I'm preaching to the choir on this. So yeah, that's always going to be different. But I'd say relatively, we, and especially I, were as prepared as you could possibly be, knowing people, knowing the place, having visited there literally probably 15 times over 20 years. And speaking the language in my case, my daughter's case as well, she's fluent.
Oh, wow.
She's been going to a French school her whole life. There's another like weird, coincidence thing. Not coincidence, but weird sort of leading up to France and supporting it that we just happened in our town to have a French immersion school in Northern California. And so we sent our daughter there, and that's where she went for until this year. That's where she's been only taught by French teachers, even in the United States. It's quite odd. So she had the comfortability with the language, as do I. So that helped us. But it was a very different story for my wife. That was a totally different story.
Yeah.
That was tougher.
So, all right, well, there, let's,
That's a
okay,
lot.
so yeah, well, let's say give me a thing that really did surprise you between, because you mentioned it, between going somewhere to like hanging out, visiting type thing, and then living
Mm.
there. So you said there was a lot of things that hit you. What can you recall off the top that when you moved there, all right, this is vastly different than how I thought it was going to be? What was that?
Yeah, and again, I can speak from my perspective because I've spoken at length with my wife and daughter about this. Both then we would do check-ins like weekly or monthly check-ins. The experience I was having was very disconnected from the experience they were having. I was like, it was like honeymoon phase for me. I was just like, everything's coming up roses. I mean, you have to understand, okay, we also moved there in the spring and we're on the Côte d'Azur. We're literally on the Promenade des Anglais. We're literally on the sea. And I've never lived on the sea before. So, my taking my dog to swim in the sea every day. We're going to the beach. I'm barely working at this point. I'm working as little as possible to maintain my business like that I had back in the United States because I'm just like, I'm loving it. I'm loving life. I'm having an incredible time. So it was really awesome. I think they had a lot of elements of that too, at first. But then, and this is what typically happens is the honeymoon phase ends and you transition into real life. The daughter has to go to school. You know what gets real at that point, and so it changes. And so there's that arc, I think, for most expats, at least I've talked to, that's what happens. So that happened to us where it transformed from woohoo, everything's fun in the Côte d'Azur to, okay, now this is actually our lives, and everything that goes with that. So as far as to answer your question about things that specifically were, I think you were asking like was notable, what do I remember? From my standpoint, it wasn't really anything negative. Like I wasn't having experiences that are like, ooh, I don't like this. The only one for me was missing our adult children that were still back in the United States. That was, and even a grandchild. That was I knew that would be hard though. And we were planning on regularly visiting to kind of ameliorate that. But that's just like that hits you in the feels. I mean, you love your kids and there's nothing that can, no matter how many WhatsApp video calls you do or whatever, it's just that's really a difficult aspect. That particularly hit, I would say, my wife very hard and also our daughter as well, because her siblings are very important to her. So that was for them, I think, a even a bigger issue than it was for me, not because they love them more, because they weren't anchoring as well in certain ways at that time, and that made the longing even worse. Where I was able to be distracted in the whirlwind of the romance of what was happening. I found a martial arts school that I connected with to teach at, and we kind of exchanged. I had we met a ton of friends. I had my TikTok channel that has about 50,000 followers, and we were having weekly meetups and meeting people left and right.
Wow.
By 6 months into France, we had more friends that we hung out with in France than we had in California. Like our social circle was significantly bigger, because it was just kind of like turbo mode the way it happened there. But that doesn't act like a deodorant, right? It doesn't last. You still have to. Life has a lot of aspects to it. There's so much that goes into it. We get complicated, right, as human beings, and I think as we get older too, there's just a bigger mesh of matrix and relationships, and just life is more complicated. So yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'll let you keep going there. You might have more specific questions than that because there's
No.
so much to unpack there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, from what I'm gathering, it was a little harder on your wife and on your daughter than it was for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was the way that we set it up. We learned a lot of lessons about this. And one of the things that we had said in the beginning was we purposely left things vague as to will we stay or will we not stay. So we didn't proverbially burn our ships at shore. What we did is we committed to a year. So we had a 1 year commitment with the option to renew. Um, the stress in that happens when not everybody is in the same direction with how they're feeling about it, right? Because and you have a 13-year-old at that time, 12. So that's difficult because they're going through that, like
Yeah,
hormones. And I
yeah.
mean, life is tough for a middle schooler, regardless of where you are. If you're in your home country or whatever, you add moving overseas and having, your native language not be the native language and all the other things. It gets really tough. So that part is independently tough. Then you add the French, moving abroad aspect to it. Yeah. So Yeah, so it was, at some point there started to grow that sort of friction internally with we're moving in kind of different directions. My wife is kind of like not really into it, but she's like observing me having like the time of my life. So she's like, well, I don't want to, pee in his Cheerios. And so, yeah, it's just, yeah. And I mean, it's strengthened our marriage. I mean, it was definitely difficult, but it's strengthened our marriage as a result of that because we've learned to sort of understand each other and relate at a even better level than we did before because we went through what is a very difficult situation in having our hearts in different places. And that's really hard when everything doesn't sync up, because you want everybody to have the same homogenous dream. It's like it's all good. Everybody, it's like the Lego movie, like everything's awesome, for everybody. And that's just not the way it is sometimes. Um, when you're in one place together, like your home, it's easier because I mean it still sucks if somebody's having a hard time, but you're not like pining for something halfway across the world, right?
Yeah.
You're at least you know where you live.
Right,
Uh,
right.
when it's like the solution for them is okay, moving back, that's a bigger deal. So I mean, I think I don't have to over describe that. It's like that's just an inherent stress. So and it's also tough because it wasn't like all bad and all good. It wasn't like they were hating it or anything, but they were starting to the chinks in the armor were starting to appear for them. And let me get specific about that, okay? Because let me give you, and I've talked to my wife at length about this, but for my daughter, it was definitely the desire to go to an American school, have an American experience, because she never had that. And that's odd sounding for most people because like she was in America, she didn't have an American school experience. She didn't. Okay. So she wanted to go back to the US to actually go to an American middle school and high school, right? For also leaving her siblings behind that she was good friends with. For my wife, it was feeling a dependency on me for communication because she did not speak French. She was making an effort to learn, but it's not an easy language. And she was on that track, but it wasn't happening fast enough for her to reach any level of comfortability. That's going to take time. So it was like things like going to the doctor, and even if the doctor speaks English, it's like it's a very personal thing, like medical issues, and she just did not feel comfortable with that. They also have different social mores and norms and customs around the way that well everything's done. But for example, with doctors, it's like very normal for a male doctor to be in the room with a female patient without the presence like we would have in the United States of a female attendant or nurse or whatever medical assistant of some kind, just things like that. It's the differences, and that was kind of it freaked her out a little bit at first. She was like, I don't know how I feel about this, so I think it was things like that. Also, in defense of our daughter, like talking to school about issues and so forth, she is used to taking a role of like being very direct and communicating directly on her behalf, right? Advocating on her behalf. Well, now she was having to do it through me, through translation, and so she's marginalized in that. So those dynamics, and this is a bit particular to obviously the people involved, but I'm sure that other people could probably relate to some of those things. Like, how would it be if you had to translate everything? You can't directly talk to the school, directly talk to the doctor. That's a big deal. So for people that would consider this, regardless of whether they're going to Nicaragua or France or anywhere, I think people talk about, well, they speak English there, so I don't need to worry about it. There's a difference between English is spoken and native English is spoken, and you can communicate at the same level you're used to. Those are very different things. So I think that if you're going to move to a foreign country, I'm not trying to get on my like soapbox right now, but if you're going to move to a foreign country, I really recommend that you like know the language at a very serviceable level, and you're more importantly, you are committed to getting it to be in your lifetime at some point, right? At a very fluent level so that you're able to get along. And also culturally, you're going to adapt. You're going to blend because that's what the countries want. They don't want you to be an embassy that is like, I'm just going to maintain all my Americanism, for example. And, the idea is to blend. And that's true for people in America. Like, I think, people who come to the United States should be blending at some level and preserving their family and their community and so forth, not losing it, but at the same time also having an element of their life that's blended with the community around them. I think that's important. I think that's just as important for Americans moving abroad to do that. So yeah, that's my opinion. It also makes life easier.
Dude, thank you a lot. That was everything you just said was brilliant. I can really relate to you on many levels there as well. Yeah. We had our daughter here. We've been here for 10 years. My daughter's 3 years old. And when we took Morgan to the hospital, I went to a private hospital where they speak English specifically for what you're saying, because you're so vulnerable. These are medical terms being spoken. And again, on the forms of language, I am fluent, but I'm not medically fluent. You know what I mean? Like if the
Right.
doctor starts, I could speak Spanish because I grew up on the streets and I could talk to people. But if you
Yeah.
start telling me medical terms, I can't give that to my wife, and that would be an uncomfortable situation. I totally understand that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Technical terms are tough. Ordering at a restaurant and getting on the bus or whatever is a different thing than when you get into heavily technical terms of
Yeah,
anything, whether it's
absolutely.
technology or it's medicine or, you have to learn that whole lexicon over again. I mean, it's even hard in English, right?
Mhm.
If you went into it with the doctor and they're telling you all these technical terms, it's difficult in your native language. Never
Sure.
mind now, it's a secondary language. Yeah.
They say that a lot of people who speak two languages, it's literally two different personalities. So as you were saying,
Yes.
my in English, my more native tongue, my vernacular is huge. Like I read a lot. I have like a big you know what I'm saying? The way that I present
Yeah.
myself to you would be vastly different than the way I would present myself in Spanish to somebody else because I don't hold those terms. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
So
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite parts of language learning
well, you speak
is,
French, right? You're fluent in it?
yeah, yeah, and
Okay,
to
so
a
there you
lesser
go.
degree, Italian as well. I'll speak
Okay.
with my hands like you just did if I speak Italian, but yeah, I
I'm
can't speak Italian if you tie my hands behind my back, right? Like anyway.
I'm from New Jersey and the Italian's in us, so it's
Yeah, exactly. I'm from the Philly, New Jersey area originally too,
no
so that's
shit,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We'll have to talk
Oh
about that off mic, but yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's
we'll do
where. Yeah, I'm
that.
gonna say go Birds though, since we said this. I don't know if you're a New York Giants fan. If so, I'm sorry, but
Okay.
anyway, we'll move
That's
on.
awesome.
We'll
That's
move on.
awesome. That's
But yeah,
awesome. Okay.
yeah.
So
I
you
wanted to say, if I may, just following up on the multiple language personality thing, I think that is like for me, one of the reasons to learn another language because you get to develop. It's not schizophrenia, by the way. It might sound like it, but it's you get to express yourself uniquely in that language
yes,
in a
yes,
different way, and you will find language controls expression. Language controls to
yes,
some degree or
yes,
influences the manner in which we express the words, the structure. It's not just the mechanical translation. And so, in that, you get to experience another dimension of life through language, which ties to culture. And I
yes.
cannot, yeah. So it's so cool to do that.
It
And every new language you learn will be a new dimension of your personality.
I'll tell you where I really notice it is in humor. Like Spanish
Mhm.
humor, some of that it just doesn't translate to an English humor, but I
Yeah.
see it a lot in humor through different languages when they say funny shit and you just don't, you're like, wait, oh, that's fucking
Yeah.
hilarious in your language. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so true. Yeah.
yeah.
Humor. That's a good point.
Okay. So it seems that though you went into this very open-minded, right? Like you guys had, okay, we'll do a year checkup, right?
Mhm.
Or with
Mhm.
option to renew, or like you had safeguards in place for this transition. Um, but yeah, it really must have been difficult for the both of you to be on different paths, right? So,
Yeah.
how did it affect you in the end when it was time to go?
I was
Like,
like, no problem. Let's just go. It's not a problem. All right.
sure.
Yeah. If you believe that, I have a bridge in Brooklyn for you as well. It was a death. It was a death. And then there was a rebirth on the other side of it, but temporarily for a short period of time, it was absolutely horrible. And I didn't understand it. And I didn't understand why we weren't moving the same direction. One of those, shake your fist to the sky kind of things. But I got through that. I got over it. And I have maintained, I traveled to France quite a bit. I was blessed with the opportunity to have these relationships with not only all the friends we've made there, but also business relationships that I have there. So I'm in France constantly. I was just there a couple weeks ago. I'll be there in a couple more weeks. So I'm back and forth from France quite a bit. And in some cases, I even get my way paid, which is great. I have relationships with multiple French businesses that I work with in various capacities. And so, I'm going back to Paris for a martial arts tournament in March and teaching a seminar next month. And so that's awesome. So for me, it was like I realized that I wouldn't lose the opportunity to be able to go to France and maintain that connection. It's just going to take a different form for the time being, for the good of my family, because family comes first.
Right.
And and my wife has said to me, I'm willing to put back on the table moving to Europe when our daughter is out of high school. She's like, she's not like, oh, like I'm never going back. It's like, it's just like, that's not the place for us to be right now. And it's typically the case with men and women. And certainly in my relationship, my wife tends to be a little ahead of me on these things and these realizations. She's like, she gets there first. And I'm like, I'm stubbornly dragging my heels a little bit with it. But yeah, we're very much on the same page with that. We're actually looking to possibly buy. In France, possibly Italy, but preferably France. And in the meantime, we have a place that we rent there that we maintain. We maintain a residence there that we can go back to every time we go back, and so it's fine. And our daughter's much happier now. She's getting her wish fulfilled, and that's obviously important to daddy that your daughter is happy.
I hear
Um,
you.
yeah, and we've got, what I've chosen to focus on, I catastrophize it a bit in my mind at first, like, because there's things about France versus the US that are just, and I'm sure it's true. I haven't been to Nicaragua, but I'm sure it's true, where it's just like these things are clearly superior in my mind. Like, this is just better. And it's just not that way in the United States. And while that has been true, it was a funny thing that happened when I got back to California. I kid you not. When I got back to California, uh, the things that I was like professing with my mouth that are always true were just not true. Like the opposite happened. Like I'll give you an example. Like I was like, there's no live music. I miss music from the 90s around here. They have street musicians and you have all these things in clubs and blah blah blah. At least in where we are, that just dried up. It's like a bunch of old rich people and the sidewalks get rolled up at 8 o'clock. And this is my bitching part. Okay. I get back and there's these young kids from the School of Rock that have this band and they are playing originals, they're playing covers, they're shredding. We're just walking down the street and all these people are gathered around and they're right out in the middle of the street in front of this restaurant. And I was like, this is what we need. Like, oh my gosh, So I felt like I was just being shown as like everything you're saying is not necessarily true. So you're gonna have to question this. And my daughter now goes to the school actually and is studying as a musician, which is a funny kind of adjunct to that story. But anyway, so yeah, that happened. We had literally 7 months of spring here in California. And I know that won't like repeat, but it didn't get too hot. We were between 71 and 85 degrees for 7 months straight. It like the nicest weather I've ever experienced in my entire life over these last 7 months. So I came back to that and it was kind of like it was raining back in South France for like a month straight. And so that helped me. That was just like a little bit of
Okay.
like a little, comfort bubble to get me through it. So
Okay.
a lot of things happened to ease my transition that I couldn't have planned, but I was grateful for that just kind of helped me make that transition back to the US. The food here, I'm not a fan of the US food and the
Oh,
crap they put in it. I was eating so healthy and felt so healthy in France. Just because of the ingredients and so forth. And but now I manage that better. Like I take more time to try to eat better. I have to work at it a lot harder in the US and
yeah.
it's never the same, but it's managing it,
Okay.
managing it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if somebody I don't even know if I don't know how to live in the United States. Like if I had to go back right now, I'd be fucking I hear you.
I hear
It'd
you,
be like a
brother.
death.
I hear
But
you.
but
Yeah.
again, like you said, it's really if you would ask me 4 years ago, I'd tell you I'm gonna die on this fucking beach. But now that I've had my daughter, I live right on the beach. I have sand and water. I don't even have grass. So like,
No, wonderful.
but now if my daughter starts getting good, I don't know, at jujitsu, if she gets good at tennis, as she gets good at that's what's leading my direction. Like you said,
Hmm.
it's about the family. So I'm a little more open to it now. It's gonna hurt, it's gonna fucking kill me, but for the family, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So you do a lot of business in France, as you've mentioned, and you do business in the US. I imagine you're working
Yeah.
hard at home. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the work culture. What do you see differently in France as you see in the US? Is like I'm sorry, man, but I
Here we
know.
go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I know what I'm opening right now, but so
Yeah.
tell me about that, man. Tell me the differences because you're very familiar with and obviously if you continue to do this, you're seeing success. So that might be difficult for a lot of people. Tell me about that. Tell me what it's like working in Europe, France, and in the States. What are your what comes to mind when I bring that up?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the first thing I have to really disclaim in answering that question is the fact that I have worked for myself for 37 years and I've never been an employee, well, since I was like 19 for 6 months. So my experience of that, my lens on that is very different. And I can't really advise people about like I've heard things, but as far as French work culture, working in a French business, I have no idea, nor do I ever want to know. Same thing goes with the US. That's not singling out France. I work for myself and I always have remote, like basically for the last 20 years, I've had jobs that allow me to work over the internet. My work is all done over the internet,
Okay.
all virtual workplace. And so I've built companies purposely that way to suit the travel lifestyle and to
Okay.
suit just independence of location. It's just really the way to go for me and always has been. So I can't really comment on that except to say that like it made me more glad than ever. I think ever since like taking my kids to school every day and being able to do, have that the benefit of that everybody else got during COVID, by the way, of like being able to work from home and all that, which I've enjoyed for the entire time I've had that life. It took on new meaning to be able to even live in another country and maintain with some challenges. I mean, you're working from, I was working from 4 to 10 at night. That's
Yeah.
quite a bit different, but it was awesome because I would go to the beach all day. Like, I had a beach across the street. And so almost on the beach. And I could live this whole life before I would start with, my work day. And that was really cool because I could get in a full day. You have to shift things like, oh, okay, like the family meal is maybe lunch now, not dinner, because
Okay.
daddy's going to be working for dinner. And if I get dinner, it's going to be sitting at the table, maybe quickly eating and then going back to my desk, but it's a sacrifice that was worth it. And it worked out. So I liked that. But as far as like, I can't really give insight into French culture. I can give it secondhand because I do know many people that work in France, that are friends of mine, that are colleagues of mine, and so forth. And it's a lot cheaper to live, even in the south of France, than most of the places in the United States. Although the south of France is amongst the most expensive in France relative to the US, particularly right now with the cost of living in the US, it's still a bargain. People who go to work in France and try to get a job, first of all, not easy to do. And I'm not going to get into all of that. There's an interview on my TikTok channel at Sean Daly that we actually talked about that with someone who does French visa consultations. But if you want to learn more about that, but
Sure.
yeah, the process of getting a job there, you're gonna benefit from. You're going to benefit from French work culture, which is you don't work that hard. And this is true in Italy, and this is true in Spain. I don't know about Nicaragua, but you just don't work like we do here. I know it's trite, but it's true. You work to live. You do not live to work. We live to work in the
Yeah.
United States. The minute I got back here, the stress levels, as I expected, went way, way, way up because it's all about hustle culture. It's all, and you got to do to earn the money, but you can earn the money, so that's a benefit. Like I have the opportunity to make so much more money in the U.S. So it all goes hand in hand. It's much harder to self-regulate. Whereas in France, they're like, let's not get carried away with that. Like, but you're gonna make less money. So you're not gonna go and kill it in France. You're not as an employee. I mean, that's hard to even do in the US, but you have to lower your expectations on salary because they pay less money. A livable wage in France is considered 2,000 euro a month. Okay. Like that's below the poverty
Yeah,
line
you
anywhere in
die
the
with that
US
in
and
the
everywhere.
States. Yeah.
You'd die. And there's a conversation that I won't repeat here for time's sake, but there is still a loophole, as I understand it. Okay, your mileage may vary. There is still a loophole that allows people to work on a certain visa, like a tourist or a BLSTS visa in France, because the French at this point have not definitively, as I understand it, passed legislation to say you cannot do that. That you can still have a remote. They had a boogeyman thing that happened back 6 months ago, or it was actually in June, where they passed some legislation to kind of close that loophole. But as I understand it, that is not truly like they're still approving visas for people that are saying, I work for myself and I work remotely back in the United States and I want to move to France. And they're like, okay, it's signing off on it. I got this. By the way, that's not from me. I got this from somebody else who's an expert in doing visas
Okay.
professionally, consulting. So that may change. It could change any day, but that is still the case because France does not have a strict work visa. They do not have like a work. Well, they have it, but it's a different type of visa. They don't have the what am I trying to say? Digital nomad visa. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't
Okay.
have a strict digital nomad visa like some other countries do. So anyway, there's ways to do it because I think that like either you retire wealthy and then you bring your money in your retirement over to France or any other country, right? And then you can kind of benefit from the arbitrage play, as it were, of that, of like
Okay.
you earned your US money, you get the benefit there. If you're still in your working years pre-retirement, that can be a little trickier for people. So you're going to have to investigate that and see what's going to work. And there's some risks in that as well.
Okay. Okay. So when you were in France, I know you had this work from 4 to 10 thing, and I know you were juggling your own business and the martial arts academy, or just you were.
Yeah, so I teach a style of Kung Fu that I've taught for 20 years. And I met a Kung Fu school there, and the teacher who's become a good friend of mine who wanted to adopt my system because I don't have my school anymore here because of work and life and moving to France and everything. I let all that go. So he's like, I want to teach your system in our school. So I proceeded to then work with them to transfer that knowledge. I continue to work with them remotely and when I go over. So yeah, so that's how that all came out. I get one of those again,
Wow.
eerie, like I walk into his school. He's been his whole life wanting to study the style that I'm a master in, and he teaches me the style he's a master in, which I'm very interested in. But he was like, I can't believe you teach this style. It's called praying mantis kung fu. He's like, I can't believe you teach that. And I'm like, I know this is like a freaky thing. So yeah, it's just one
I
of
bet
those
you that
incredible
helps with your
things.
social life though in France.
It does. I mean, those guys are friends of mine. I get to, meet those students and hang out with them, so that helps. And also, I just find people. Listen, I don't know if it's the same for you. I actually wanted to ask you about this, but the expat community in Nice is very strong. You end up making friends typically with about 90, 95% people from other countries. That's the way it is. I'm not saying French people are rude. I'm not saying that they're not going to be friends with you, but it's harder to break into that in France. That takes a long time to get a French friend. Unless you have a workplace, well, even then, like just because they have their friends like life, it's like kind of like the East Coast where we came from. People are like lifetime friends and stuff.
Yeah.
I found the West Coast where I've been for almost 40 years to be a little bit more fickle with that. And you can make fast friends, but they're not always depth of friends. Again, this is one of those. I mean, I'm sorry, I have experienced this. Like I
No,
can
no,
say
no,
I
no,
spent,
no. I
yeah, 20 years on the East Coast, almost 40 years here. I can make that comparison. Totally generalizing and stereotyping, but that is what I found. France is more like the East Coast of the United States that I found, and even a little bit harder to make those kind of friends. It's kind of like your old homies from the hood kind of thing. That's how they are. And so it's tougher to, but when you do finally make the friends with people in France, it's like for life. Like unless you do something egregiously
right.
bad to them, I guess, right? Like any friendship. But they're very very sweet, endearing people. But in the expat community, you can really make friends quickly in these areas, and it's true in Paris and other places too, because there's other people just like you, and it's a very natural way to bond with people over that shared experience. Have you experienced that where you are?
Well, so I grew up traveling between here and New Jersey my whole life. I've been going back and forth. So
Uh,
so my Spanish, my like is Nicaraguan. Like if
okay.
I were in Mexico and I start speaking Spanish, they're immediately gonna know. They're gonna like, bro, you're not
Yeah.
from here, but where did you
Yeah.
pick that up? And here when I talk, it's either immediately they could see me and see that I'm not from here, but they immediately know like either he is family here or he's been here for a long time. So for
Hmm.
me getting in, it's been easier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's easy. A lot of people come here and they get in pretty quickly with the Nicaraguan vibe. I think it's, you're nice, you get along with people, you move in. But I do understand what you're. So for me doing business internationally, right? I do real estate here in Nicaragua. And I've dealt with people from the West Coast, the center, the East Coast, and all this. And I've been doing business with internationally for quite some time now. So the way that I view it, and you're right, it's a stereotype, but in California, what I've noticed, it's very like, okay, I like your shirt. And then they'll go behind your back and tell their friend, what the fuck is he wearing? Right? If you're in Colorado in the middle and you do business, it's very passive aggressive. So it's, I like your shirt, but I would have gotten it in red. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a passive
More
aggressive.
intellectually honest. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
that
right.
one
And
more.
then if you're in New York or the Northeast, and we'll include like Florida in that, it's
What the hell are you
it's
doing with that
yeah,
shirt?
fuck you. I don't care about your shirt. Show me the money.
Yeah,
So what
that's
I've learned
funny.
though is those people that are fuck you up front, that when you do get to be friends with them, it's fuck you for life, but it's for life.
Amen.
We're for life. Do you know what I mean?
That's my Philly crowd. That's my Philly
Yes, there you
homies.
go.
Like
That's
that's how they
Philly,
are.
that's New York. We're all very like, but once you get
Yeah.
in there, it's like we're here.
Yeah.
California, I've heard that yeah, it's much easier to make friends because it's so hey, but it's
Hey.
not really
Yeah.
friends. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
Nicaragua, no, I've noticed, it's weird because I see that a lot of expats always stick together anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
But yeah,
sure.
there are some that do want to go out into the towns, and when they do, they're generally accepted pretty quickly. The people here are really warm, very nice. A big difference, let's say, between here and Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, you're online and you're at a convenience store and you're trying to buy something and you don't speak the language. Everybody in line is going to get pissed. Bro, get the fuck out of the
Hmm.
line. The lady in the
Hmm.
behind the cash register is like, oh my God. In Nicaragua, it's not like that. People will
Hmm.
start staring at their phone, looking up at the sky. The lady's trying to help you. It's a different thing. So yeah, people here are warm. It's
Nice.
easier to get in. But I totally understand what you're saying with that in France,
Yeah.
how it may be a much harder thing.
With regards to deep friendships,
Yeah,
but
deep
I
friendships.
do want to
And we're
qualify.
adults, man. As adults, that's
Yeah,
just hard anywhere in the fucking
that
world.
is that is true.
Yeah,
That
as we
is
get
true.
older, it's just hard.
But I need to come to the defense of France, and particularly the south of France, where at least I have spent some time living, is that people are very friendly there. And I find people charming and wonderful, and not just because I speak French, but also to other people. Like my family had a great experience there. People are wonderful there, and it's a great experience. So the French people are not snobby and rude. It's the personality type you were just describing about the kind of the tough New Yorker with the
Yeah. Eh.
that's akin to what you have in Paris with some elements. And the rest of the United States is as much like a New Yorker, a native New Yorker, as the rest of France is like a Parisian. Do you understand? It's like it does not
Okay.
represent the country.
I got
Okay,
you.
so
I
people
got
go
you.
to Paris, and by the way, even in Paris, I find people wonderful. I
Right.
think even that stereotype is completely wrong and wrong-headed. But if you're one of those people that did have a, rude Parisian waiter experience or whatever it was, um, that is has nothing to do with the country of France and
I mean,
really
you're in
doesn't
a
have anything to do
city.
with Paris. Yeah,
You're in
it's
a
a city.
city. It's a city.
Yeah.
People are on the move, so sometimes when they got to slow down, it's a.
And they're
I
burned
hear you.
out being the most visited touristic place in the entire world. They might be a little like,
Yeah,
jaded. You got to give them that.
I
So
give them that.
touristic areas are always going to have that challenge. But I find that that is one of the greatest misnomers about France is that they are not rude. They are absolutely freaking charming and incredible. And I love French people. I just
That's
absolutely love
awesome.
French people.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. All right, so I hear the love and I feel it. I feel it from you. How what a good time you had and everything that was awesome. Besides your family, besides
Mm.
that part, what was the hardest thing for you there?
That's a good question. I did. I don't want to sound disingenuous. Nothing. Nothing.
No, that's cool. If
I
that's what it
feel at
is, that's
home
awesome.
there. I feel my heart is in three places. Well, I guess if you count Philly, it's like four. But the weather there. But yeah, I mean, for me, part of my heart is always in France. Like I feel home there. When I'm there, I feel home there. I just went back a couple weeks ago. I felt immediately home again. All my friends, hi Sean, how's it going? People in like food stands that I know, whatever. Yeah, I absolutely love it there. And for me, it was not difficult. There was nothing about being in France that was difficult for me, other than
That's
missing my
awesome.
my friends and my children.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. My friends and my family, I should say, because also parents. But I was like, hey, oh man, is that with like regular visiting? Because we're blessed enough to be able to travel a lot. So for me, no, there was no issue.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the truth for just speaking for myself. Um,
That's
that's
awesome.
keeping it
No, dude,
real.
that's awesome. So okay, like again, I was saying, so you had the job and you had the martial arts academy and all that, but what's the average day look like for you over there, man? What do you get up
Hmm.
and
Yeah, get up. Yeah. So get up, walk to my Italian coffee place because Nice is very close to Italy. So you're 45 minutes from Italy. So there's lots of Italians and there's a big infusion of Italian culture there, which I really dig because it's not really classically French in any way. It's actually Niçoise culture is its own unique culture. It's not French, it's not Italian, it's its own thing, influenced by the two. So I go for my Italian coffee, which is like really good coffee. Really good coffee. And then I would go to our friends next door to our apartment. They had a bakery that we loved, this family. They're just the sweetest people. They're French immigrants. They're from Algeria. I believe they're Algerian immigrants. And they owned a bakery that was the best bread I had, the best baguette I had in Nice. Happened to be right next door, kind of dangerous. To go over there, get the croissant, the mini croissant or whatever, get the baguette. I'd like the Frenchman carrying under the bread, under the arm, bring it back for the day. If possible during the good weather seasons, go to the beach. Definitely go out to the beach and hang out for a few hours. Bring the dog, go swimming. There's a dog beach right in front of Lonval Hospital, which is awesome. It's a plage des chiens, so you can go there and bring your doggy, and lots of dogs there. And that was fun. And then yeah, go to lunch together, walk around. Walking 17,000 steps a day on average in France.
That's awesome.
I walk 6 to 7,000 steps a day on average here. So, and it was just not like I'm walking. Oh man, this is like an effort. It was just natural, like walking our daughter to school. It's a great walking city. We didn't own a car for the entire time we were there, and I was like, I don't really need one. If I needed one, I would have rented one. But it totally got along, and also the public transportation is incredible. So lots of walking and walking to Old Town and just like hanging out and walking and experiencing just the richness of that vibe there was just so cool. Because we live in a very beautiful place here when we're in California. It's a wine country, which is great. People love Napa, Sonoma, where we are. Um, but it's very different, right? You're out in the country, it's like more isolated, it's just a different vibe. And living in a city, I had never lived in a city except for maybe 6 months in San Francisco once, but I had never lived integrated in a city like that. And it's kind of like a big little city in the sense that it's big, but it doesn't feel huge. And a lot of what happens is in a concentrated area. So getting around, especially walking and so forth, it was very practical to do that because everything's just concentrated in the old town Quatre d'Or, which is where we lived, and other neighborhoods that are all very close together with all the touristic areas and the beach and parks and all that stuff. So it was really cool because it had this like small vibe, but it was literally a big city in terms of a lot of inhabitants and so forth. And then you're next to Monaco and Villefranche-sur-Mer and Cannes, and I mean you just go out a little bit and it's incredible. And then to go to Italy, like I said, on the weekend you could go to Italy to go shopping, bring back your Italian goods. It costs like third the price, third the price, and even better quality in some cases. So yeah, anyway, it was so that's a typical day, and then I'd come back and work. Like I said, and I won't say I worked from 4 to 10, but I would work as much as I needed to. And then just hang out with the family as much as possible. And then on the weekends, I was playing. I got introduced to the sport of paddle while I was there. I had a bunch
Okay.
of friends. I met a ton of people through TikTok that would be like, Sean, I follow your channel. Oh my God. And I ended up befriending a lot of these people because I wasn't like, oh yeah, thanks for following me. I was like, met a really bunch of cool people. I mean, one of my best friends there came up to me in the gym. I was in the middle of like a set and he's like, Sean, I can't believe it's you. Blah, blah, blah. And this guy, he's a Moroccan dude, and he was living there, and he was a kind of like a crypto. I don't know if he was a millionaire, but he was like a wealthy crypto trader dude, right? This kid's like 23. Really nice, very mature, really smart kid. He ended up introducing me to all his friends, a bunch of 23, 25-year-olds, and I started playing paddle, which they
Okay.
don't have here in Northern California, and it's very hard to find in the US, but just fell in love with that. So we were traveling all over the Côte d'Azur area playing paddle like once or twice a week. And it's, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, it's not like pickleball. It's a full-size tennis court with like racquetball or squash walls. So it's like tennis with these short paddles, like almost like thicker racquetball paddles that are solid instead of having a webbing.
Okay.
So it's faster moving, and you use tennis balls. And but it was just an incredible sport. So that became part of the romance for me as like a new sport, a new activity that I associate with being in France. I mean, it's all over Europe and I think other parts of the world. But yeah, so that'd be another thing I would do, doing martial arts several times a week, teaching, studying. Yeah, it was like the greatest year. It was, and it continues to be great when I go back. Yeah.
um,
I was very
while
blessed.
while you were there, you guys did you do a lot of, being that you're, like you said, you were right next to Cannes, you were right next to Morocco. Did you guys get out? Did you become tourists, or were you just
Yeah.
in Nice chilling?
So it's interesting because our plan was let's really absorb Nice and the immediately surrounding areas, surrounding towns. So we went up to like Saint-Martin-Vésubie, which is up about an hour north in a valley that's gorgeous, like up in the mountains, and totally different weather up there. Be more like akin to like a baby Tahoe, like Lake Tahoe or something. So we went there. We went to some other places, but we really just enjoyed Nice for the
Yeah.
first, especially like the first 4 months. Then we started to go on some little jaunts out to various places. in that area. But our plan was, if we stayed, was to really take advantage of that. There's a ferry from Nice that goes to Corsica and Sardinia, and then I mean, and then obviously you have access to all of Europe. So that was our plan, but we didn't end up staying for that
Okay.
phase. So we've done that before, gone to a lot of places. We'll continue to do that, but I'd say we didn't get to take advantage of the proximity of going anywhere in Europe cheaply because the flights are so cheap. You know, these $49 Ryanair flights to anywhere to Rome, or I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Here it would cost $350. There it's like 49 euro. We did not really get to, but it was kind of intentional because we were really bonding with Nice. I didn't want to get to Nice and be like traveling all over Europe and not getting to know the home where we
Sure.
were, because it is such an incredible place. And so we wanted to kind of go deep with that place first. So anyway, that's kind of what happened with that. We didn't really get to take advantage of that too much
Okay.
so
There's
far.
a festival in Nice. Isn't there like a fashion? I know that Cannes has the International Film Festival, but in
Yeah.
Nice, isn't there like a fashion week or there's something big that happens there, right?
Oh, there's so many. I mean,
Okay,
it's almost
okay. Well,
uncountable. There's
I
big.
know I've heard of Nice and I remember equating it with something and I just
There's
it's
ja
missing.
there's the jazz festival,
Oh,
right?
I'd
Like you
love
have
to
in
do that.
Newport and Russian River, and so it's a big jazz festival. We were lucky. We actually had the Tour de France come. That was a one-time thing, but while we were there, the Olympics and the Tour de France were there. That was incredible. So really good time to be there. But that's again not a recurrent thing. We had also this is what I love about Nice is like every weekend in the summer and even the spring, you have a different event. It's like a petanque tournament, and then it's an Ironman thing, and then it's like a cycling thing, and then it's runners and marathons, and then it's the jazz festival, and then the carnival, and it just goes on. And I mean, it's
That's
incredible. It's
awesome.
just like a party. You walk out into the promenade, and it's like DJs on the beach, tons of beach clubs. I mean, it's a really, really cool vibe. It's so much fun. It's a party, especially in summer. It's just a party.
Dude, that's
It's really
awesome.
good.
That
Yeah.
keeps you if you're an older person, it keeps you stuff comes to you.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like overly, it felt all inclusive to all ages. Like it wasn't like, oh, it's a party for young people. It was a party for everybody. It's a
Mhm.
real melting pot of culture and age. Like everybody's hanging out together, of all ages. You have a lot of older, wealthy people there, but then you have a lot of young people. I mean, all the Brits coming on the weekend, and in
Right.
every country, you walk down the street there, you hear every language spoken, just like being in like New York or Paris or Barcelona or Madrid, or I mean, you just hear every language as you walk down the street. It's really cool.
That is really cool. All right. So this is to you. If you can tell yourself one thing, teach yourself one thing from now to that person then that was going on that trip, what would it be? That was starting this move.
Yeah, before. Stay patient and trust timing.
Okay.
Like enjoy every day and every season as a summer day and don't attach yourself to expectation. I mean, this is good advice for myself in life anyway, and it's advice I've taken, but don't get too attached to a moment or a thing because it might not take the form you want, and just roll with the punches essentially. Like that would be for me, that would have been the unique message. It's just like and prepare for any possibility. Don't presume the outcome. Like just don't presume the outcome. Question question everything and stay flexible.
Stay flexible. It's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So give me a plug, man. We've talked about work a lot. Tell me what you do and how we can
Oh,
help get
sure.
people to your channel or to you or whatever. What do we
Yeah,
do?
yeah. Yeah, so I'm a marketer. I help businesses with all forms of marketing, online marketing mostly. So I'm a marketing consultant. I do agency type work. I also have a data company where we use the data to get better results for people on ad platforms. So things like, for example, Meta and Google, we help people generate leads, businesses of all kinds. I've worked with the biggest companies. I like to work with the little guys, but I've worked with Yelp and Microsoft and Dell and Kohler and all kinds of huge companies, Cisco, and in my career. But I love working with the little guys, and paying little guy prices. That's fine. I also have a company where we can resolve the identification in the U.S. only of people visiting your website with all their information legally. It's all privacy compliant. And then also we can get leads of people who have been searching recently, like in the last week, on places like Google for any keywords.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so that data is really valuable by itself. People use it. We sell it to agencies and brands. But when we do advertising, we can take that data because these people all have intent. It's intent data. So it means these guys have actually expressed an interest in buying this, which is so much better than just randomly advertising to people, right? We
Yeah,
take that
100%.
data. Yeah, we take that data, we charge for it if you just buy it, but for our ad clients, we just include it in the campaign and utilize it because we know how to use that. You can upload this data to the platform. You can do other things with it as well. But yeah, so basically, I'm all about generating revenue for businesses. That's been my career for the past 25 years. I've owned four agencies in that time, successful exits, and now I'm just looking for cool people to work with that kind of get it, you know. That for me, I'm at the part of my career where it's like, I'm not going to struggle with somebody, God bless them, but somebody who's like really understands what they want. They don't have to understand marketing, but they have to be, a cool client, a cool business that kind of gets it.
Yeah.
Those relationships are awesome for me because I can really go far and help them, and that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Awesome,
Yeah.
man. Awesome. What we'll do is give me a way to contact you, your formal way, and I'll have that in the comments section. So anybody watching could reach out and find you, or I can find
Thank
anybody
you.
else for you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Well,
what about your
yeah,
social media? Do you want me to plug any of that? Why don't we give me some of those links as well? We'll
sure.
throw that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So easy to find on social media. It's Sean Daly, my name, SeanDaily. So at Sean Daly on TikTok. That's where I'm most active. Also Instagram, I copy over the videos there and I will interact with people, but I'm like pretty focused on TikTok right now. But you can find me on Instagram as well. And then those are probably, unless you want to hear about me rambling about the Philadelphia Eagles, Twitter, I wouldn't recommend because that's all you're going to get on there. Dissing on the Cowboys and liking the Eagles. So that's, yeah, unless you're go Birds, unless you're an Eagles
Go
fan.
birds.
As far as my company, it's leadeagle.io. So
Okay.
leadeagle.io. And then you can reach me at Sean, Sean, at leadeagle.io. And you can book an appointment with me if you want to talk or, email me, whatever. And always happy to do free consults with people. No, no obligation consults. You just want to talk and see if there's a good match or if I can help you. And if I can't help you, I'll send you on your way better off than I found you with information or tips or whatever. That's
That's
that's the way
awesome.
I roll.
That's awesome, man. Good, cool, cool. Um, So I know that you're a marketer and obviously you have a lot of experience with technology and everything that's going on. But there's a lot of older people in the world who would view this video and they don't know shit about TikTok. They don't know anything,
Yeah.
but they would like to do what we do. Has that been difficult for you becoming an influencer as an older guy?
It's so funny. I still don't think of myself as an influencer, but it happened by accident. I did not intend to become an influencer. I'm told I'm an influencer,
I mean, you
and I have
got
a lot of company.
50,000 subscribers on fucking
Yeah,
TikTok. That's a lot
y-
of people that listen to
yeah.
you, man.
You know what? You know how it started? And what I would say to people that are thinking about it is just be real and be who you are, and you'll find your audience. Because all I did, hand to God, all I did was I was just talking about our journey to
That's
like,
awesome.
I was kind of like pissed off at California. So I was like rambling. I was ranting. I was really just recording myself like ranting about the stuff that was on my mind, about California. I had a video, which is California is straight broken. It did 1.2 million views at the time.
Boom.
And,
Wow.
and and I woke up in the morning and I had 35,000 like new followers. And I woke my wife. I'm like, honey, honey, we went viral. So that literally that video blew
Wow.
it up. It was one video, and people were really interested in the journey as a family because
Yeah.
so many. And by the way, this isn't at all like not bragging or anything. I have been blessed with the opportunity to meet so many people like outside of Nice, in France, that stopped me, that I became friends with, that told me that our videos as a family were really helpful to them, which is incredible for me because that's
That's
really what it's
awesome.
about. I'm
That
not
is
trying
what
to
it's
make my
about.
living. Yeah, I'm not trying to make my living on TikTok, but I've had so many people just say, and we shared the warts and all. Like we shared we screwed up on our visa one time. I was like, I didn't edit anything. I was like, hey, this is like what you need to do. And often it was from the School of Hard Knocks, learning these lessons. And so people just really resonated with it because there's obviously a lot of discontent in the US right now. And I'm not going to go into all that, but a lot of people are looking at their options and living and getting a better. I have a friend who talks about it. He says, the standard of living is the highest in the US, but the quality of life is the lowest. That's his opinion. He's an immigrant to the US, has been living there and loves it. But he's like,
Yeah.
standard of living high, quality of life low. And whether you agree with that or not, a lot of people are finding that their quality of life has been greatly reduced recently, especially in the US. And people are looking at other options. So I think that resonated with people considering for retirement or moving their families and stuff. And so, yeah, I've gotten to meet so many incredible people through that process. It's been awesome. It's been really fun.
That's awesome. I'm very happy for you, man. It's that one video that shot it for you. I'm happy for you. That's really cool.
Yeah. That's what's cool about TikTok is when don't be afraid of TikTok. I was afraid of TikTok in the minute, or I was like resistant. And my kids were like, I'm like, oh, this is like a kid thing or whatever. I don't care. That's for teenagers. And then I finally like got into it and it was like really simple, really clean, really easy. It's changed quite a bit, but from where it was, but it's just, you can just start talking on your topic and not to oversimplify it, but if people are interested in what you say or if it strikes a nerve, there's a democratization of virality on TikTok that doesn't exist on other platforms. Try going viral on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
luck, right?
yeah.
Because those the maturity curve has gone on longer. TikTok is still it's getting a little bit longer in the tooth now, but there is every video, as they say in the algorithm, is equally capable of going viral on TikTok. And that's what I like is you can get these grand slams like bam, it can happen. I've had I don't know, I think I've had like 8 to 10 videos go over 1 million views on
Wow.
TikTok. I've never had a single video over 1 million on any other platform.
Wow,
Not that
man.
I've like been super prolific, but on like YouTube and so forth. But yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about it. And I always recommend to people that are like grassrooting it, or organic grassroots marketing, don't have a lot of money, or regardless of whether they do or not. Man, if you or somebody in your company can be talking about your expertise in a way that's truly beneficial to the people you're talking to, like them first, not you. It's not just
Yeah.
like blah, blah, blah. If you can educate people, give them your wisdom and your insight, because everybody knows a little bit of something, to quote a song from the 90s, like everybody knows something about something. If you can share that wisdom with the marketplace, there's people out there that want to hear it and they're going to like and they're going to comment and they're going to subscribe and they're going to share that video and repost it. And so just start talking. Just get on there or if you don't want to do it, have somebody else in your company do it. It doesn't matter. It's like, the Wayne Gretzky, 100% of the shots you don't take don't go in.
That's awesome, man. Okay. Last question. Give me a piece of advice, man. So there's somebody at home, a younger guy, and he's watching this and he's like, holy shit, Sean, everything you said, I want to live that life. I mean, you sold me on France. I'm going. What advice do you give to them?
Go travel a lot and find the place that's right for you because we've been talking about France, but that's the story of Sean, right? And it's
Yes.
also the story of many other people, but it might not be your story. Your story out there might be Nicaragua, or it might be Mexico, or it might be Panama, or it might be Italy, or so it's like, where do you have your roots? Where, and I would also say this might sound weird, but listen to the calling. If you have a calling, like if you feel like notice the coincidences. Notice the things that come in your life where you start, if you feel an unexplainable pull to a place, like dive into that a little bit. Like scratch below the surface on that because for me, it's like I always had that France connection as I stated. It was always there. I don't know if everybody will have such a thing with a place, but if you do, go deeper, learn the language, take some classes, go on a trip. Because I find I can't explain it, but I find that sometimes people are drawn to their home or their next place in ways that kind of is exciting. It almost is like magical in a way. That's been my experience, and I have to tell you, so many of my friends share similar experiences of that, where it's like I always felt a connection to whatever, Florence, Italy, or the UK, or whatever it was. I just felt some draw there. It could be your family history. It could be somebody you met in high school that was an exchange student, whatever it is. And if you don't have any of that though, just travel a lot and see what it's like to add another dimension, be bicultural, multicultural, even better, become a student of the world. You can always be a citizen of the US or wherever your home country is, but become a citizen of the world because when you open your mind and you experience other cultures and you get deep in those cultures, because you can't know a culture till you understand its language. You cannot. And you cannot really know a culture until you know its language and you live there for a certain period of time. But life is so much richer when you go beyond the borders of your own country. It's incredible. It's just, I feel sorry, not in a judgy way. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
genuinely sorry for people that never have that experience because it's mind blowing and it's enriching.
There you go, man. Wow, that's good words. It is. Thank you. That was awesome. We could chat for a minute.
Sounds good.
Um, Sean, man, thank you so much for sharing with me today, man. You have dropped some absolute gems for us. You're an inspiration, man, and you've lived an awesome life so far, man. That's all of it's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for taking your time and talking to us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. That was awesome. All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Sean, wow, man, thank you so much. That was very informative. Great time. I wish you nothing but the best, man. I'm sending you positive vibes. For my viewers at home, if there are any questions that you want me to ask any of my future guests, let me know. Just put it in the comments. And if there's any countries that you want me to go to find an expat from that country to give you some insight, let me know.